Good morning, I'm BR Schultz SP500. Thank you for joining me for another episode on our 10-year journey through the Great Depression window into late 2034. This is part 34 of a long series, 10-year series. I'll be looking at the Einstein daily peak model today, which should showcase the peak that I believe will occur on roughly October 3rd, early January, mid-January. And then it looks like maybe the inflation reading in mid-Feb 2026 will be the reason why markets hit another peak similar to 2025. And so I want to show you that today. We are in the roaring 20s into late 2030. The Great Depression window, I believe, the heart of it will be 2031 through 2033 with a tail end into 2034. We have about 59.8 months until that kicks off. So the macro peak in the markets would be at the end of 2030 if my projections are correct. Again, the macro peak, like the granddaddy peak, the uppermost pricing point would be at the end of 2030. And then 2031 through 2033 would be a very steep decline in markets, and then some type of final bouncing to kind of bottom long term in early to late 2034. We'll say Father's Day 2034 is the final bottom, plus or minus a quarter. So it could be March, April, it could be October. It could be like 2022, where you have the severe bottom around Father's Day of 2022, and then you have a double bottom in October of 2022. So it could be similar to that. But let's jump to the models. Oh yeah, and if you haven't seen the Doji USD model, I think the models really have made significant gains in understanding the macro peaks using monthly data. Not only can I do pricing projections now, I believe, I feel I'm getting better at that. So my upper pricing projection for Doji USD is around 250, 260, based on my my own IP. Third grade math, fifth grade math, I've developed a way of projecting pricing levels. I find it pretty interesting. And so what I'm saying is when I took the monthly data for Doji USD, you can go back and see that video. I find that the graph was just amazing, and how well timed. You can see how having to change the upper limit in the graph really shows itself off, right, when you have the timing synced properly. And I think once I made that that next step, that progression in my understanding of jacking up the upper limit of the graph itself has a upper limit of, let's say, positive 100, as you might expect, but the upper limit on the graph graphing area, the chart upper limit would be like plus 300, even though the graph of it itself, the mathematical output, is only up to 100. The extension of the trend goes all the way up to plus 300 to project a peak. So once I made that break in my kind of routine, I really found that it projects peaks a lot better. And think about it, if I'm able to do that in daily, and then take the same daily model and put monthly data in it, like Doji USD, and it syncs well and it still works, right? It doesn't break. That's gonna be powerful, really powerful. So that's what I'm going to show you today, is that Einstein daily peak model, that same technique that you would find in Doji USD. I'm going to show you that today. Part 34. 34 is one of my favorite numbers in the markets. That 43, 77. I believe God uses the number 7 in a multiple difference of ways to structure the S&P 500 specifically. And so yeah, it's led me to all my discoveries. Really, it really has. So let's jump to the model. So what I think I'll actually do is just show you quickly the monthly model, the Doji USD. So this is the same technique I use on the daily data, and I don't know, just it really uses every little angle change that I can, that the model can create on it with monthly data for Doji USD. I'm very fascinated by it. I just love it. I really do. The upper limit I found is I think 300 on this, but man, it really separates the 3-year cycles on crypto. And then I said in the video, as I said in the video, then the next peak obviously would be in late 2030, which would tie out right to the macro peak, the granddaddy peak in markets, and then start the Great Depression. So the 3-year cycles in Doji USD, I think, is not only highlighting the bottom in interest rates, which I think the interest rates will bottom at the end of 27, early 28, and then they'll hit another bottom at the end of 2030, let's say Christmas of 2030, something like that, and then the Great Depression happens, right? And then the interest rates take off. So that's kind of that's their springboard point. I would assume that they'd take off, but that's kind of the presupposed take I have at this point for interest rates. So I'm looking to refi my house near the end of 2027 is kind of my mortgage, refi my mortgage at the end of 2027 is kind of my thought right now. So anyways, I just thought that's a thing of beauty. It's using the slants of the graph itself, and then that kind of buckling point, that change of direction around early 2020. That's kind of the armpit, if you will, of that graph maneuver there, right above April of 2020. It takes that new angle that into late 2021, but that syncs perfectly with the trajectory that the model created from 2022 through late 2023, and that projects out the peak in Doji USD into the end of 2027. So I think that's where we're going to have a macro peak, more than likely in crypto altogether, right? So you'd have Bitcoin, Litecoin, everything. I think it's just a crypto all-inclusive type of macro peak around that time frame. But I think what I want to say is that for some reason Doji USD pricing really does a good job of showcasing that, right? I don't think every crypto coin or whatever token pricing would showcase it as fine as Doji USD does. And so my pricing technique, if you will, I want to use it more on monthly scale, my monthly trajectories, and I did it for the S&P 500. You can go back, I think it's like part 30 or something, where I did it for the S&P 500 on the monthly scale, and I think its upper projection is like 10.3 in that video. I think there's only one slide in that, so 10.3 to 10.5 is like my upper projection for late 2030 for the final macro peak in markets. So I really like how I'm able to not only take something like Doji USD, take the monthly data and input it, but then also be able to use a pricing projection, right? Understand the structure on a monthly scale of anything, right? A stock, crypto, understanding why you have the upper projections, understanding why you have the lower projections, hopefully I grow in my understanding of that. But I'm very excited because I've only had timing to up to last year, and this year I think I've had a major breakthrough in understanding macro pricing. And I think on October 3rd, what I can do is I can project where I think the markets can go down to, right? I can create based on the movement, if it's correct on the structure of the daily scale, the movement, or maybe on the 4-hour scale, I can project the 5 price levels that I could see for October 20th. So I'm kind of excited. I think this will be one of the first times I get to use it that way, right? So the model projected that the S&P 500 would hit around 6,500 and then stall, and that's what we've seen. So that was the monthly data. You can go back and see, I think it's like part 30. But anyways, let's move to the S&P 500 daily data. So again, very excited about this. You might remember that I've tried to call peaks before, and it didn't go so well using this model before I made that breakthrough that I needed to elevate the top of the chart, which you can see, right? The graph only goes up to that mid black line a little bit higher, and then it doesn't go any higher than that, right? That's the upper limit of the graph itself, but the chart itself goes up almost twice as high as the graph does, right? So that I found that very interesting, that once I made that breakthrough, once I was able to overcome that paradigm kind of mindset, when I made that paradigm shift, everything opened up for me, understanding the timing aspect. All right, then I was able to sync the peak around February 20th of 2025. Then I was able to sync the peak at late March 2025 to have the market collapse, things like that. So it's very instrumental in understanding market timing. So obviously I want to get to the point where I'm, providing like a master's or doctorate class in stock market timing and pricing on YouTube, and hopefully by God's grace, He would give me the wisdom through the end of 2034, as He keeps increasing my wisdom. Hopefully He will, that I would be able to present such theory and application, and then results as well, right? So that is the goal. And those of you who followed me in 2022 saw that God really helped me understand how to do short-term timing, because the model hit like 54 out of 57 or something like that. It was ridiculous. Like, it was beyond legendary what the model was able to call in 2022 for crashes. And it was out of this world. It really was. And so now you can see that the yellow trend line here, connecting I hate to call it the armpit, but it really is like an armpit or a change in direction around above May 16th, 2025. You see that the graph kind of popped down, then pop over, and then right where that angle change is, I connected it to the top of the spike in early August of 2025. That gives you your mid-February 2026 peak, if you would believe it or not. There is also a black trend line that goes back in time that also has many more hits and touch points going out into mid-February 2026. So that looks like it would be the inflation read, right, in mid-February, and that's usually when markets find their peak and then they crash. It's been the kind of standard protocol from many Q1 crashes, but you can also see the peak for October 3rd, and again, once I get that daily data, that 4-hour data, into the October 3rd peak, then I can do some type of structural pricing analysis on where I think the pricing will hit for its low, and around October 20th for that crash, right? But you can also see how the model is projecting the year-end peak in markets at the end of 2025. You can also see how the model is predicting a peak around, I think that might be Martin Luther King Day or President's Day, and I don't think it's President's Day, sorry, Martin Luther King Day in late January or mid-January of 2026. But I think the major peak, the final peak, right, is going to be that mid-February. So the peaks, you might look at it is some kind of wave count, right? It could be like wave 1 up could be the end of December, and then wave 3 up is mid-January's peak, and then wave 5 up is mid-February's peak, right? And then you'd have the exhaustion in markets into mid-March, late March, something like that. But I find this pretty interesting. I really feel like it's reaching a new level of market timing. Just with these little movements, right, I'm able to create future points, future turning points in the markets, only because I was able to understand that you needed to move the upper limit of the chart itself, much higher. Again, I think the chart goes up to plus 300 now, whereas before it was only like plus 175 or 200, or maybe it was 125, really trying to understand the behavior of this and how it syncs correctly with mathematics and future pricing movement is key, right? To have that delicate balance. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's presentation. And man, I'm already projecting out way out into the future, right? So it's quite interesting. And again, I'll probably wait until, let's see if I can keep my hands off of creating a video until October 3rd. But I'll probably wait until October 3rd and see if I can create some type of a downward pricing projection for the October 20th low. Would be my hope. But you have the time sequence, right? You have the time already known. I feel that from October 3rd high to the roughly October 20th low, you know the time of the crash window. So that's 80% of market timing is knowing the time frame. And if you can know the pricing, that's just icing on the cake. But I think that will be the big window for a spike in the VIX, things like that nature. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully you're seeing progression on my part, and hopefully you see Doji USD really spike and really take off into the end of 2027 for some type of major monthly macro peak. Hopefully we do get near $3 for Doji USD. That'd be really awesome to see the pricing projections on a monthly basis based on its structure that I've created my own IP for to really be accurate. That would be just a lot of fun. And then obviously I could project how bad the Great Depression could be from the monthly movement on the S&P 500 going into the end of 2030. So the pricing structure projections work both to the upside and to the downside. So I've created a system that's pretty much the same math. It's just tweaking it a little bit for the upside or the downside. So I'm really excited to share that with you, and hopefully by God's grace it's highly accurate. So with that said, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for following, and yeah, I want to get to the point where the donations are huge, because my work and my timing is just so impressive that obviously the number of subscriptions start skyrocketing, things like that. Donations skyrocket. I want to get that again. I want to hit that sweet spot again, and maybe if I hit like 10,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, then maybe I will go back to creating some type of a Discord chat or something. So again, if you want to see my Discord channel come back online, you want to see me start talking again on Discord, you want me to create a Discord group, spread the word, get subscribers if you want to see that happen. Again, if I reach 10,000 subscribers, then I will reopen a Discord group for everyone. So I better make it 10,347, right? So to match my 2030 projection. So if I hit 10,347 subscribers, I will start a Discord group. All right, I'll reopen that. Some of you saw that. I did that in 2022. So again, subscriber goal to start a Discord group would be 10,347. Thank you so much for your time. Until next time, I'm B.R. Schultz, SP500. Again, this is just a snippet of the GoFundMe page. I didn't want you to forget that, so thank you. And please bookmark it, whatever, and watch it over the next decade or into late 2034. Thank you so much.